careful who you put your faith in.
You might not be her father, but you were someone's.
Hi, I'm Jesus from Cartelera, Spain. It's really nice to meet you. And I have to start saying that these games are one of my favorite experiences. And I'm overwhelmed with how this show elevates everything again. So congratulations. I gotta say, I can't wait to see the next episodes.
Oh, cool.
So...
Thank you.
Neil, I wanted to start with you. Did you want to take this show as a way maybe to change things with the perspective of time, or the only goal was to make a good adaptation of the games?
You know, there's a bunch of different goals when you do something like this. I would say for myself, the most important thing was that, look, it's a bit intimidating to make an HBO show. Even when you work with like someone like Craig Mazin, who's an amazing writer, and we have an amazing cast and like an incredible crew that loves the source material, you are coming out with something that has to stand alongside Sopranos, Watchmen, Leftovers, and you can go on and on and on, like some of the best stories, not just TV shows, some of the best stories out there. And you also have the weight of the pressure of the love people have for their source material. And I think that the best way to approach it is to say, we got to make something great. So it's less about any kind of one specific detail and more like, how do we make this thing stand on its own amongst all these other kind of like shows that I've mentioned? And then kind of dissect, okay, well, what made the original special? So Craig and I had many, many conversations where we just kind of talked about the themes of the story or who these characters are. What's their kind of like essential DNA? That was more important to capture than any kind of superficial detail of like, okay, we don't need to show a workbench, for example, or like Joel kind of stealth killing someone. It's like those were less important to us. So I think sometimes these adaptations are like, oh, if you're adapting a first-person game, then you have to have a first-person sequence, or like you have to show a particular jump from the game. Like those are things that work in this medium and are kind of goofy in this other medium. So those were like, it was important to recognize what are the parts that we're going to keep, because it feels like that can work as is in the show and there's no reason to change it. And it was also just as important to recognize these are things that just are really strong in this interactive medium, and they will be boring over here. So they have to be replaced by something else.
So Merle, for you, I wanted to ask you, what did you learn about Marlene this time around, knowing her a little bit more in live action? What did the show let you explore of the character?
Yeah, I think it was, for me, a little less about learning about Marlene, and it was about learning how Merle relates to Marlene. There were these extraordinary tentpole moments in her experience that created the moral squeeze that she's under in the storytelling that we got to that I got to experience for the first time, even outside of my imagination, and that was extremely exciting and beautiful, and also you understand and you feel this piece as an artist when you just heard Neil say that they were talking about not cosmetic things that were iconic to the story, but the meat, the potatoes, the nucleus of who they are and what the story is, and what we are trying to turn a mirror on people, on our society about, and when you are in partnership with storytellers that are that sensitive, that caring, you know that you are on a journey that's going to be beautiful, that is going to be fantastically elucidated. And I think that the fans of the game will feel very loved and cared about. And I think that this new audience will be introduced to one of the greatest storytellers of our time, Neil Druckmann.
Remembering the story of the Fireflies, I think they could have their own show, but I don't know if in the long-term plans, do you prefer fewer seasons and sticking to the games, or if you have thought of maybe expanding really further the Joel and Ellie story with other characters, other stories, the past, or maybe the time in between the games?
I'll answer a bit simply, which was like, this is an adaptation. This season is an adaptation of the first game. And just like when we made the first game, that story had to stand on its own. In case we never made another game, it would be okay to end right there. That's how we treated this season. And we're not after wanting to do just a show that'll be like, we stretch it out as long as possible to make it as successful as possible for however long. We only want to adapt specific material. And like, if you talk to myself or Craig, like, we have kind of a very similar philosophy, which is like, we need to know what the ending is in order to write what we have. So there's always has to be a destination. It can't just go endlessly forward. And that's how we treated this season. And if we're lucky enough to be able to do this again, that's how we would treat everything going forward, which is like, there has to be a plan in place based on the existing source material.
Oh, cool. So,
But I am curious about this Firefly business. I'm just saying.
I too.
Look, if you want to do a spin-off with Marlene, I'll be all for it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this wonderful interview. And again, congratulations. It's a marvelous show.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm taking you with me. Do what I say when I say it. Got any advice on the best way west?
Yeah, go east.